folks, David here on the Vintage Future once again. And I am privileged to, for the very first time, do a review on a pair of boots where I don't really know what to say about them. I'm just so overawed by how incredible these boots are, because not only are they technically speaking the nicest boots or shoes, even in the shoe category, the nicest pair of footwear that I've ever had, hands down. But they go so much further than that, because let's be honest, you could have a pair of Skechers shape-ups that, as far as technical execution and craftsmanship quality and precision, are the nicest pair of footwear you've ever had, but they're still ugly, nasty Skechers shape-ups, you know? And so, yes, these are, technically speaking, the most precisely, finely made pair of footwear that I've ever had. But there's so much more than that. One, they come from a very genuine person, Peng in China, Flame Panda, as we call him. And the guy has just been so kind at every interaction. Granted, the order process is long. Sometimes he doesn't respond to you for weeks and weeks at a time. But I'd say it's well worth the wait, because you're not waiting for someone who's just doing business with you. This guy, he is, as I said, genuine. And so that just transcends business. At that point, it's like, guys, let's forget about money. Let's forget about time. Let's forget about materialism. Forget about possessions, like what we want, the thing that we're trying to get, our next purchase fix, if you will. It's not about that anymore. It's about connection with a really great person, someone who's one of the last true artisans on the planet. There's a shrinking number of actual artisans. There's people that make footwear and a variety of other products in the world, and they're selling them for money. It's very commercialized. It's about the materialism. It's about the money, get more and more and more, building the industry, building the brand, building the name. But then there's some people who are really artists, and he's one of them. Ordering from him is also about the art itself. Like, these boots are, and everything else I've seen Peng do, they are more than the sum of their parts. They almost have a soul, if you will. I'm not saying they're spiritualized. I'm just saying, they have a persona, they have a personality. There's this cohesiveness about his designs, which I don't sense in most other footwear. Definitely there are some others out there, but most of the footwear, especially boots, don't have this quite persona. They look like pieces of leather and stitches and rubber soles all put together, and it all works, but there's not this cohesiveness. These, I will talk about the details, but I almost feel bad talking about the details, because it's almost not about the details. You kind of forget that this is horsebutt leather. You kind of forget about the eyelets. You forget about the hand welting. You forget about all these things, because I just see this cohesive boot, this united idea, from top to bottom, inside and out. I just see this united idea. It's a whole, complete, thoroughly finished piece of art. So anyhow, I can't do justice to these, so I'm gonna stop trying. But clearly, from my introduction, these have made quite the impression on me. I'm not saying you should idolize an inanimate object. Family, people are more important. But there are objects which I think are so special precisely because they're connected with valuable people, and they represent valuable people. So for me, it's Peng, but Peng said some really encouraging words to me about my son who has some health issues. And so to me, this pair of boots represents not just my hobby and all that, but it represents this idea of family. Peng was telling me, and he said this in his interview with Jake, Almost Vintage Style, that he used to get made fun of in school when he was a kid because they said he was not that smart. And they said that he was slow. And yeah, so he got picked on and stuff. And, my son has autism, among some other things, which I won't share here. But Peng, on hearing that, just gave me a ton of encouragement and was saying, hey, don't ever worry about, what your son goes through. Just know that he is made exactly the way he should be. And he's going to be impacting the world in unique ways that no one else can. And so, I just want to encourage you, keep it up, man. Like, be the best father you can be, and, love your son, and it's going to be great. So anyways, not to get ushy-gushy when you came for a boot review, but this is just one pair of boots where I'm sorry, but it's just not about the boots. And so, yeah, there's a small handful of material possessions that I have, which are worthy to be rescued from a fire. You're not going to risk anyone's life, but, this would be one of them. The guitar that my wife bought me. It's my Taylor that I play all the time when I lead worship at my church. That's one of them, and there's a few others. But yeah, this made the list. Really, really special. Okay, so let's jump in. But I just wanted to tell you up front, it's not really about all the details I'm about to give you. But I'm just doing it because, I know that's what you came for, and I don't want this to be clickbait. So, okay, so what's the story with these things? So I was like, hey, Peng, I know you design boots. And I know there's an option for you just to design me some. And so let's do that, all right? And so he was like, yeah, that sounds great. So I said, I just want them to be a shade of brown. I want them to be all eyelets, and they need to be on the 141 last, because he had told me that the 141 last would be best for my foot shape and measurements that I had given him. And with that, I said, take it away. So I had no idea what I was going to get until they were already done. When they were totally complete, because he didn't give me any hints of what he was going to make me, since that was the agreement. It's not like he wouldn't have checked in. He does check in normally, but because I said just go hog wild, he said, okay, I'll do whatever. And that was the agreement, and away he went, and finally I got a picture of these and was totally amazed. So what he did was he put it on a Dr. Sole half sole. So far I'm a big fan. Pretty sweet sole. Nothing really to be desired, honestly. Everything that you would want in a sole. All leather, and everyone always talks about how heavy the boots are. It is true. This right here, it really doesn't want to bend. I've been wearing these for 6 months. Okay, this is my 6-month review. I'm pushing pretty hard right now, and that does not want to bend. Same with this leather heel counter. Inside here, it is like solid as a rock. It doesn't want to give. And the leather toe puff in here, I'm squeezing on this, hard, and I can't make an impression at all. So his materials are just super beefy. Everyone calls these tanks, and yeah, that's the deal. He did this with a double row hand welt. So that's pretty awesome. Really well executed. So he does the inside of the welt, the inner stitch by hand, and he does the outer stitches by hand also. And then he's got tonal stitching throughout. That's cool. Brogued cap toe, 8 antique brass eyelets. This leather, which is really the star of the show, is Maryam Tannery natural horsebutt, but then he took it and he hand dyed it a color that he calls cigar. And they've lightened up a little bit. Originally, they were what I would say is like a true cigar color, if you've seen cigars. Granted, cigars are all slightly different shades. But it really looked like the actual cigar color, that kind of lighter shade of brown, some yellows, some oranges, maybe a little bit of red popping through, but yeah. And it's got the partially gusseted tongue. I put vibro laces in it because I put vibro laces in everything because I freaking love vibro laces. External heel counter. It's got the rolled collar on the top. And it's unlined in the tongue, unlined in the shaft, but then inside the vamp is lined. And yeah, other than that, I just have to talk about the leather. So part of the work of art is the vamps are smooth. All right. So he took these vamps and he clicked such that everything is uniform and smooth here. But then he just took some liberties with the quarters and the counter covers. So like this quarter right here, man, woo, so awesome. The kind of boot where every time I wear them, I notice something I didn't notice before, you know? I notice an aspect, I notice an element, a nuance that I hadn't seen before. Really showing off the beauty of the hide. You know, if you're going to just use something that is uniform all the time, you know, I'm not against calfskin. I like calfskin. But if you're just going to use something like that and cover it and polish all the time, and that's all you're going to do, which I get, there's reasons for that. But if that's all you're ever going to do, it's like, why even use leather? You know, I've heard Phil Callis from Ashland Leather talk about this. Like, why even use leather? You know, you could just use a different substance, a different material. But if you're going to use leather, let the leather be the leather, you know? Find the stuff that's unique about it. And things like this, these striations and marbling and stuff, I mean, that's where it's at. So, granted, I want it to be used artistically like he did, creatively, tastefully. I don't want it just to be psycho and look stupid and crazy. I want it to be well done, and it is. But yeah, when I see the opportunity for that, I just really appreciate it. So I love what he did with these. Again, he didn't even ask me what I wanted. He just kind of used his sense as an artisan to make these choices, and I'm very happy with the choices he made. This one right here also has some. It's almost looks like flaming, you know, like if you've seen wood, like a guitar, like flamed maple or quilted maple or whatever. But it's not. It's leather. Really, really cool. And flip it around, and on this side of the heel counter, this heel stay right here, see that? Yeah, it's got this almost like marbled effect. Really, really cool. The over dye is slowly wearing away in spots, but it's really hard to tell just because of the color of this. But you know, you see some crocking like back here. This is from rubbing my desk. One of the desks at work has this little like bar to put your feet on because it's a higher desk. I think that's what that's from. There's some like a little bit of crocking here on the shaft and up here at the collar, right? On the toe, it's lightening just a little bit here. You know, on this other one, you've got some of the same stuff going on, like the collar's got some crocking, the shaft has some crocking. Pretty stiff, the horsebutt is, you know, it's a veg tan. But after a while, it gets pretty soft. It has pretty good memory. It like remembers the shape that it held. That's one of the advantages of veg tan. It has very good shape memory, if you will. But yeah, I kind of baby these, so they haven't aged much. Definitely not a pair I'm going to drag through on a hike. I think I could have him make something and make it out of waxed flesh or something, and then I wouldn't be afraid to do that. But this particular pair, I want these to age slowly. I want these to be here for the long haul. And yeah, away we go. So the thing is, they're like kind of made to measure-ish, I think. Like, he didn't really fully explain what he does, but as far as we know, he takes your measurements, he asks you about all the sizes you wear in different boots and stuff, and he makes your boots or shoes based off that. So it's kind of like garbage in, garbage out. Like if you communicate really clearly what works for you and your dimensions and all that stuff, and the shape of your foot, and you know what you like in a last, like what kind of last you like, you know, then it's going to go well. If you just send him like, I wear a size 10 US, well then don't be surprised if he makes you boots on a last that doesn't really work for your foot shape or something like that. It's kind of on you. Yeah, so there's no like size or anything as far as I know. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, if like you know about flame panda sizing. But as far as I know from this pair anyways, you know, there wasn't any like, oh, hey, your boots are going to be in size this or size that. He just kind of took all my information, and it turned out really well. So, like, yeah. I love this last anatomical shaped, you know, more or less straightforward right here, and then it curves around, so it doesn't push my big toe in. I talk about that a lot. Plenty of vertical clearance in the toe box, you know, for my toes. Yeah, and it locks in my instep pretty well, anchors my heel, nothing jabbing or poking or pinching in the shaft. This tongue is like nice and soft, you know, and the smell of this leather is like divine, by the way. Look, even the inside right there, inside of the collar. I mean, even that's beautiful, huh? So yeah, that's the deal. I highly recommend the Flame Panda 141 and his other stuff too. Yeah, I'm just going to focus on enjoying these for a while. Anyways, as I always say, let your boots take you to places more important than the boots themselves.